Yo, what's happening, you dirty animals? You're not animals. You're not dirty animals. We're animals. We're all animals, I guess, but you're not dirty. I don't know why I said that. That's kind of mean. How's it going, guys? It's a beautiful Sunday. The weather's changing. We've passed one of my favorite holidays, which is Halloween. And it is a glorious holiday, but it's a little sad because my sons are getting older and they're getting to the point where um they're too old to kind of trick or treat with me. They want to go with the friends and do that stuff. That's fine. It's just how it goes. But yeah, they're aging out of trick or treating with dad. So it's all right though. I'm just gonna have to have more kids. That's all. That's pop out a few more kids, and then I will guarantee myself some more years of snatching candy. It'll be good. It'll be good. People are terrible. People are terrible. We put out a bowl of candy out front, and some punks snatched the whole damn thing. They took the whole bowl. It was a big bowl. I want to make sure the kids in the neighborhood all got a piece of candy, good piece of candy. And it was the good candy. I got the good candy from the Costco, 2 different bags. And I want to take care of people, make sure they get a good, wonderful Halloween. And some jackass snatched the whole thing. It's like $20, $30 of chocolate. I hope you get diabetes. Hope your teeth fall out, you fat bastard. It's just so, come on, man. It's gross. It's gross. People want to complain about politics and this elected official and that elected official, and it's these people's faults and those people's faults. It's Republicans, it's the Democrats. No, it's you. It's you. You're the problem. You people. You and your damn kids. You're not there for them. The government is a reflection of you, the people, and you're gross. You're gross. You're just porn addicts. You gamble all the time. You drink and do drugs degeneratively. It's not even like just to have fun a little bit here and there. It's just your whole life. It's gross. People are gross. You eat out all the time. You have no skills. You don't know how to do anything. Can't change your tire or your oil. Got to eat at all the restaurants because you can't cook. You got to eat the rat-infested, cockroach-infested restaurants because you're too sad to turn on a stove and cook something. It's getting gross out here, man. They stole the whole bucket, the whole big old bowl we had, and luckily I found it down the way on a bush. So they snatched it and dumped it in their bag like a little fat kid, and then put the bowl in the bucket, bought the bowl on a bush, and then ran away. And I had a bad feeling. I was like, man, I should get my batteries and stuff changed on my cameras just so I can watch things. But I didn't. I was lazy. I was like, nah, people are good. People aren't gonna do that in this neighborhood. And then last night, there's noise coming from in front of the clubhouse. They weren't actually using the clubhouse to just hang out in front. I don't know where these kids live, but they're playing music loud. They're setting off car alarms, right? People, it's people are trying to chill, and these kids' parents are nowhere to be found. They're being loud. And I go walk the dog today, a little bit further than normal, and I get to the spot where there's no frontward facing houses. It's just a kind of patch of grass and trees. And so there's no cameras, right? And just so happens that the place where there's no cameras, graffiti. They tag the sidewalk. These people, their parents, they're not homeowners. They don't pay the HOA. They pay rent. And now us who pay the HOA, we're going to be stuck with paying to remove the spray paint from the sidewalk. And I know it's the same kids who did they tagged the pool house. They had to put up new cameras, which is more money. My HOA fees went up $60 in the last like few months, and that's part of it because you got more low lifes making trouble in the neighborhood, so we got to pay more money. I don't have extra $60 just laying around. I got stuff to pay for. I got kids to feed. I got gas to put in my truck. It's gross, man. We're coming upon some gross times. People are really gross right now. I'm trying not to cuss and be gross myself. It's like being a decent person now is like the rebellious thing to do. You're the outsider. You're the you're the rebel now because you put your shopping cart back after you use it. Because you only take 2 or 3 pieces of candy from the bowl that's out rather than just dumping the whole thing in your bag. You're the weird one. You won't watch hours of porn every day. Oh, you're weird because you're not squirting all over the place. You're the weird one. Like, what's going on, man? What do you mean you don't gamble? Oh, you're weird. What do you mean you don't like chicks with tattoos? You're the weird one. Nope. Society is circling the toilet bowl, and it's not the politicians' fault. We have the big selection coming up, and I don't care. I don't care because neither person is talking anything about anything that matters to me. None of them are going to do anything. None of them are going to do anything that matters. They're not. It's just going to be a bunch of arguing back and forth and everybody upset and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, hope you guys had a good Halloween. I had a fun one. Just me and the miss wore our costumes and passed out some candy and just watched some TV. We watched some TV and hung out, and it was fun. And I enjoyed myself. We are on an hour earlier today. Somebody mentioned the stream last week that they liked the earlier time, so I'm playing around with it a little bit. I think 6 p.m. The kids' football stuff is done, and I'm done a little bit earlier. I think it's a good time. I think six would be good. So we're kind of switching things up. I'm gonna stick with 6, unless anybody has monstrous complaints. But yeah, we'll be here. What else we got? Oh yeah, I got some fun. I got some fun stuff. Before we get into the fights, I haven't seen these fights in a long time. I didn't see these fights in a long time. I want to share them with you. But I fought 2 times in the same night, way back when. This first one, I was 1-1. I had lost my first pro fight, and then I went and did a 3-man tournament where I fought 2 men in the same night as an amateur. It was mostly pro rules, but you couldn't elbow to the head on the ground. It was open hand to the head too, I think, on the ground. But anyways, so in this fight I was 1-1 because I did go to Mexico and I knocked the guy out. I submitted him. Not submitted him. It was a TKO. He turned and tapped in the first 12 seconds. So then I went up to this fight, Extreme Combat 2, up in Minnesota, Brad Kohler's event. And I fought. I ended up fighting twice that night. So I want to share the fight with you guys. Well, the doggy's not happy. So I'm not giving him attention right now. So let's share. I'm going to share this with you to see if you guys enjoy this. How is the best way to put it on here? Side by side like this? No. Is that going to work? I don't know. Let's see if this works. I'll turn this on too. They call me John French when they're announcing me. So, and then I don't know why they put 5'11". That's not accurate. I wasn't 5'11" since like 7th grade. So I think maybe the whoever put that together maybe was just a hater. He's just a hater and was like, I don't want to call him 6 foot. He didn't look it, but I filled out the thing. I was 6 foot. Sorry. All right, let's watch. Let's watch. Nah, that better. Oh, you can't see there. Okay, that's okay. I'm gonna move these things out the way too. So you'll see
Tonight, fighting out of the blue corner.
we're in a field. We're in a softball field. People are liquored up. You got fighters walking around just out in the grass. John Fitch. That was John Fitch there. Notice the sideburns. They're pretty impressive, I must say. I couldn't grow a full beard at the time, I don't think. Brian Ebersoff, you see behind me, cornered me for that fight. I was wearing my Gary Big Daddy Goodrich shirt. It was the first shirt that I had ever gotten from anybody in MMA, so I wore that. I wore that to every single fight I had. It was my undershirt. I wore it under whatever I was wearing every time. And this I'm fighting Dan Hart.
Lighter trunks.
Big right hand right away. Knees.
John Fitch rocking Hart early.
Look at that kick.
Oh.
Left hand to a knee.
Getting another nice right hook. And now landing some knees on Hart. Hart's trying to execute a single leg takedown.
Shoulder area. They weren't to the head. I don't think to the head was legal. I did throw some pointed elbows to the back of the head. I was warned about that. I was a little excited in the moment.
Referee Graveson steps in right away because there's no kneeing to the back of the head when they have it down the corner. So that was a quick move by
inside leg kick. Oh, the stiff jab.
Fitch just rocked hard again. Fitch is sinking in a nice guillotine choke that looks pretty tight.
And I didn't quite have all of the knowledge I needed to finish this choke technically. So I ended up just going to horsepower. And you'll see me pick him up off the ground with the choke, and he's tapping on the other side.
And that's the end of the fight.
Boom. Not the greatest stand-up, but I probably had maybe 10 minutes of mitt work in my entire career at that point. So a first round finish. And, you know, back then, like someone like Mr. Hart here would have been a undercard fighter level of the UFC today. So, you know, I've seen some people say, oh, he's fighting a tomato can. His skill set and the number of fights he had and the number of wins that he had in his career, he would have definitely been a
easy. What do you think?
It went the way I thought it would.
Undercard guy.
What was your plan for tonight?
Just stand up, and if I got in trouble, take it to the mat, but I didn't have any trouble on my feet, so just kept it on my feet.
All right, well, congratulations. Pleasure watching you.
I didn't even know I had a little interview at the end there. That's funny. Well, there you go. There you go. No. Okay. So that was that's one of them. That's one of those fights from that night. What do you guys think? Was that pretty fun? Oh, pretty boy Glory in the house. Glory had a glorious victory last night, Saturday night. I have not got to see the fight yet. I'm hoping he has a link for me soon to check it out. But everybody Congrats to Gloy. Yay, we got it. We got one done. That's nice. Let's go to the next. We'll do that. So after I fought that fight, Brad Kohler comes running up to me in the back before I got my gloves off. He says, "Hey, don't take your gloves off. Don't take your gloves off." It's like, the crowd loved you. How'd you like to fight again for $100? And I was like, I kind of only came here to fight, the one time. Ebersol looked at me and goes, "Hey, if you don't take it, I'll fight after my fight," because he was fighting that night too. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I did it. And then let's watch this. This is Eric Tix, 6'1", 210 pounds. He was 3-5 going into this fight. His style was Street Fighter. That was now 2-1 as a wrestler. Let's see this epic fight between Eric Tix and John French.
The 3-5 record. Street fighting is his style. Eric Tix.
Oh, he had a big fan base on the softball fields.
Fighting out of the blue
Softball fields
corner.
of blood.
5'11", 200 pounds. You saw him once tonight, fighting out of West Lafayette,
I
Indiana.
wore that black overshirt too, but very good his shirt was underneath.
Wrestler John Fitch.
I guess that's John Fitch.
Here we go with the next fight. We've got Eric Tix from St. Paul, and he's fighting John French.
John French guy sounds tough.
Eric Tix has a background in boxing. So we look for him to land some strikes on his feet.
There we go. Boom, right hand. Right hand. 3 right hands.
And Eric Tix is just knocked out.
The third
John
round,
French got a very
round.
fast knockout on Eric Tix, and he's still unconscious. John French with a very fast knockout over Eric Tix.
This one right here. Boom. Broke my thumb. Pretty done.
And John French, the victor.
John French. Yeah, watch out for that guy. Watch out for John French. Ho 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 ho. Ho ho ho, mon ami. So that was another win. I made me 3-1 professionally, and I had 2 knockouts under 12 seconds of those 3, and the other one was a submission under 4 minutes. So not bad. That was Demolition John French. That's funny. Oh, Jason Burmis jumping in the chat. How you doing, Jason? Me and Jason did a spectacular job calling the fights for Caged Aggression 38. It was fantastic. I've only listened to a little bit of it. I got to go back. It's hard to listen to yourself, man. So like, I got to force myself to go and listen, and so I can critique myself. But yeah, that was fun back in the day, guys. Back in the day, there was no contract. There was no tapes of your opponents. We drove from, I drove from Purdue to Southern Illinois, East Illinois, same college that Matt Hughes went to, because they're only like 2.5 hours apart. So I drove there where Ebersol was, and me and Ebersol, we drove up to Minnesota. We drove up there because Kohler told him, "Hey, we might have some guys to match you up with. We might have some guys your size to match." So we go up there. We go into a hotel room. We step on a scale that's on the carpet. He says, "Okay, I see your weight. I'll find somebody for you." Found somebody for us. We fought the next day, and he ran out, asked me to fight a second time. It was at this softball field complex where they had, bars. So you people, like, it was like adult softball where people would get drunk and play softball, and they put a boxing ring on second base on one of the fields, and everybody kind of stood around and drank beers and watched, and we warmed up by the porta potties, and it was good. It was good. I think I made maybe $300, $400 that night. Maybe it was. I think I want to say it was like 350 because it was like 250 and then the extra 100. So yeah, but I broke my thumb, and enough time has passed for me to speak openly about it. But I broke my thumb in the fight, and then I came back to Purdue with my broken hand and whatever, and we had one of the wrestlers say that we wrestled on Sunday and I broke my thumb wrestling. So I was able to get the student health insurance stuff to pay for it. Got the x-ray, and they had to put 2 pins in it because it was broke. You can see my thumb doesn't really go out all the way like it's supposed to. They put 2 pins in it. They crisscrossed to keep it locked in. And then after about 4 weeks, one of the pins started making its way out of my thumb on its own, right? The bone like pushed it out. So I had to take a plier and pull it out myself. Ugh. And then after the 8 weeks, 9 weeks or whatever, I had to go Indianapolis, and they pulled the other one out. And that was kind of awful. They numbed it up and they put a sheet over it so I couldn't see, but they were grabbing it and I could feel the pliers popping off of it, and then they were pulling on my arm. I could feel them pulling on my arm, and they finally got it out. So that was interesting. That was an interesting predicament there. So if the guy already hits the ground, just walk off, guys. You don't need the extra one. You don't need to get the extra one in, because that cost me, like 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of training where I couldn't fight and whatever. Yeah, that's good. And then after that, I went to AKA. I went out during Thanksgiving. Sean Shirk was at that fight, and I was talking to Zinkin Entertainment, Dwayne Zinkin, and he was representing Shirk at the time. And Shirk told him, "Yeah, this guy looks like an animal. He might become somebody." And Zinkin was like, "Yeah, you should come out. Let's send you a contract. We'll sign you, start getting you fights." So I went out there and trained for a week, fell in love with it, came back here. I fought against Salman Hutchinson, and he illegally kicked me in the nose, but the promoter didn't want to pay me the win bonus, so he said it was a no contest. He said it was incidental, which wasn't an accident. I was on a knee. He thought I was going to stand up, but he threw the kick. Should have been a DQ. I should have gotten the win bonus, but the promoter didn't want to pay the extra $100. So nope. And then after that, I finished up my semester of grad school and moved to California, and the rest is history. Oh, wow. Next card in March will be 3 nights in a row. Look how far the regional circuit has come. We have 4s, interviews, fun walkouts, pretty decent ring card girls. Yeah, we had nothing. They just didn't even get our names right. I guess they interviewed us afterwards. Yeah, it's funny. They updated the fight record, but name and height was wrong. That's funny. You broke your hand last night too, Gloy? Oh no. That's not good. Oh, IVs. That's right, IVs. Not 4s. we have 4s. We have IVs. Yeah, so that was a cool thing with Cage Aggression I saw. And I don't know if any other promotion's doing this, but they were offering IVs to all the athletes after they weighed in. And I think that's pretty smart, because you want the best version of your fighters out there. So why wouldn't you want them to rehydrate and be at their peak performance. You know, I think it's smart. I think it's good. All right, guys. So that was fun. That was a fun little warm up and intro to the fights, to the show, I guess. We could do more of that. We could watch more old fights because some of these fights are not that great. Bare knuckles. We'll talk about the bare knuckles. I got to catch the whole fight card of the bare knuckles. There's a lot of good fights. I'm sorry if I miss out on any of the fights because I don't remember all of them because there were a lot of good fights. The first fight of the night, Moyer and Red Farm. That was a fun little fight because Moyer got dropped early, but then he came back and was doing well, and they stopped the fight because Redfern, his eye was starting to swell shut. So yeah, you always like to watch those fights where one guy gets knocked down and then comes back. Matty Hill with the win, knocked out Lee Brown in the first. And these guys were pretty big boys. There are some number of big guys on this card. Cook and Beamish. This was a pretty fun fight. Pretty evenly matched. Back and forth fight. He's a unanimous decision for Beamish. But I think Paul Cook gave him a pretty good look throughout that fight. Absolutely. But Beamish, came out ahead. Taylor and Brown, another unanimous decision in favor of Taylor. Who else did we have? That was fun, huh? Gary Fox, TKO'd Spencer, round 2. Man, people speeding down. This whole neighborhood's going to shit, man. Like the average house in this neighborhood is $950,000 to 1.1 mil, and you got graffiti on the sidewalk, hoodlums partying outside of the freaking clubhouse, and jerk offs stealing candy. Like I will walk the dog late night. That's how I discovered a candy bowl missing, and I noticed when I came around this one corner, somebody waiting in the car. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? And then some girl comes walking quickly away from the houses. She wasn't in a costume, and she had like 2 big bags of candy. I'm like, yeah, those are probably the suckers that stole the candy. Garbage humans everywhere, man. Who else do we have, huh? Kroll, Wizarek. I can't even say his name. Wiwczarek. Wizarek. That's a whole lot of consonants. But Kroll put on quite a performance for the 5 rounds, and it was a one-sided fight. But Zurich was able to sit in front of him and take the damage, take the punishment for 5 rounds. That was impressive. He was very durable. He didn't get a lot done offensively, but he's tough. He gets some tough points, that's for sure. Tough man of the night because he got hit a bunch. Holmes and Wasserman. Chilinsky, right? Chilinsky came out hard and fast, throwing a lot of hooks the whole time. He was high energy. You thought he was going to get tired. He did slow down a little bit, but Thompson just stayed in the pocket and was landing bigger punches. But that was a fun little fight. Only went 2 rounds. Holmes gets the knockout. I'm sorry, that was Thompson. Wrong one. Thompson got the knockout third round, 125 in 3rd round. But the Dawid Chilinsky, he fought hard. Maybe needs to get a little bit tighter with his punches and get his defense a little bit tighter. But he fought good. He just was a little bit wild and loose, I think. Who was I skipped one I'm looking at here. Holmes and Westerman. This was a good fight too. 85 pounders. They were throwing big hard punches. And then probably the knockout of the night was I don't know, there were some good knockouts all night, but the Ben Bonner and Lewis Keane. And he was not keen of that punch that landed. It was a big punch. First round, minute 44. And Bonner was just really tight and clean with it. That's the impressive. He did the nice pose afterwards after getting that knockout. Cook and Hodgson. Not a bad fight. Unanimous decision for Cook. And then the heavyweight fight. The heavyweight fight was pretty outstanding. I think it was 4 knockdowns to 1. 4 knockdowns to 1 in the first round, and then early in the second round they called it. It was a little bit controversial, though, I will say, because Oscar got hit late. He got hit late. Faulkner hit him after the bell. He didn't score a knockdown, but he hit him hard after the bell, after he was already pretty banged up and damaged. He hit him after the bell, and that might have prevented him from recovering from the other knockdowns, because he did get knocked down quite a few times. Both guys, big power. I think just the size discrepancy maybe was the biggest factor in Faulkner winning that fight. You know, he had 20 pounds over his opponent. And, man, when you start getting to that 20 pounds or more difference in size, that's such a huge gap when you're landing big punches. It's big when you're grappling too, but when you're landing big punches, bare knuckle, an extra 20 pounds, whew, man, that's wild. But it was a good night of fights. Good nights of fights on the bare knuckles, guys. That's the rest of the bare knuckles. That's all the bare knuckles. Let's I'll jump through the comments here, so you guys are talking about. If you guys definitely want me to showcase your comment, send a super chat, guys. Send a super chat. You know. Oh yeah, what was the guy? Which guy was that? There was somebody. One of the guys was eating, right? Who was eating? Was that the Kroll's opponent? Wizarzik? Wizark? Wizark? Is that it? I don't know. WiwczarYk. Eric, his last part. Wizark. Was he eating something? Was he eating a steak? Anybody recognize or remember that at all? Was that what was happening? I don't know. That's wild, because you usually can't get food and stuff back in there in the commissions. I don't know. Maybe it's a little different in England. Yeah, the heavyweight main event was ridiculous. Mr. Burmis nailed that on the head. Pretty wild. Co-main event, good fight. There's a lot of good fights. Mr. Jorge Henrique dos Santos Becerra says, why did you come out to Rusty Cage? Because I didn't like the UFC. I didn't like them. I thought that they were doing wrong to the fighters. They were making it all about them, all about Dana. Like, I thought it was gross kind of what they're doing. This is way back then. I could see what they were doing. I didn't like it. So it was my FU to them. I'm going to break my rusty cage. I'm going to free myself from the shackles of your illegal business practices. I kind of did, Daniel. I did kind of fight GSP that way. I think I should have been a little more technical when I fought him and used the clinch and push him into the fence more instead of standing in the middle and just throwing big punches. I thought I was going to knock him out. I thought his chin was gone because Matt Serra had knocked him out 2 fights previously. It's not exactly. It's not crazy that I fought George. It's crazy that I only got to fight him once. Being ranked second in the world for like 7 years and only got to fight him once. It's ridiculousness. It's also ridiculous that they hid so many other names from me. That's why rank should mean something. Then we get to the UFC. Let's get to the UFC. What were the fights? The fights that were good. That I really remembered. I did not see some of the earlier ones. Romanov was one of the first ones that I remembered. Romanov looked good. His cardio has been an issue in the past, but he's a big boy. He knows how to wrestle. His stand-up looked okay in this fight against Nascimento. But yeah, 18-3, moved forward to 18-3. This is one of those guys that I think he should trim down a little bit. He should trim down a little bit, lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds maybe, because he's walking around like 260. Get his cardio to the higher level and work on his explosiveness because he's a big guy that can wrestle and he hits hard. I think he's leaving a lot on the table. You know, he could put himself into a much better position if he just worked on some of his explosiveness and worked on his cardio. I think he's got some serious skills that could be very problematic for a lot of guys if he makes some changes. But I don't know. That was a good step forward for him, I think. Yusuf Zalal hits the submission. 1 minute, round 2. And Charles Jourdain or Victor Henry. He did have a nice guillotine submission there that he kind of was a little bit awkward, but he's practiced that position to finish a lot. We talked a little bit about it after the fight. Zahibi wins a decision over Munoz. Who else would you get? Mike Malott. Mike Malott and Trevin Giles, like both solid guys, but this to me was one of those ho-hum small glove kickboxing fights. You know, if you're gonna do a small glove kickboxing, then you better do it on the level that the guys at one championship fight at, because this wasn't it. This looked like a sparring match. Wasn't there. Marc-Andre Barriot and Dustin Stolfus. This was a pretty good fight. Up until the finish, it was pretty great. And then Stolfus threw some extra punches in on the KO. But he looked really good. This was a great performance by Stolfus. This is a middleweight fight. I don't know how big he is as a middleweight. I need to see him up against some other guys who are big middleweights. I kind of have this feeling that Berriut and him are just big welterweights, that maybe they need to take the time to read my book, The Weight Cut Bible, available on Amazon, and get down to welterweight. And they maybe find a lot more success there. I don't know. Jussa Davicius with the submission. Cao Machado and Brenson Ribeiro. It's a light heavyweight fight. This is not bad, but also another fight that looked a lot like a small glove kickboxing match. Not enough mixing it up. Not enough level changes. Not enough mixed martial arts. Blanchfield over Namajamas. And then Brandon Moreno. This also, Amir Albazi. Big opportunity for Albazi to put himself in a good position, but I don't know. It's just ho hum. He didn't press. He didn't level change. He didn't take the fight to Moreno. He just kind of hung out, and it's weird because Moreno has a style where he's very front leg heavy. He's very forward. He kind of stands like a wrestler, and I don't understand why Amir didn't throw any leg kicks. He wasn't trying to beat up the leg. I didn't see many uppercuts up the middle. Maybe even some of the Lyoto Machida push kick, front kick up the middle type stuff when the guy's leaning his head out there. I don't know, man. I just don't know what he was trying to accomplish. I kind of was not, especially after watching the bare knuckle fights. Like it was a lot of the fights on that card were just not entertaining. I didn't feel like people were really getting after it. We missed out on the Derek Lewis fight. Jourdain, I think Jourdain did get after it. He got after it. Victor Henry and Jourdain, he got after it. That fight was good. I think I fell asleep for a second during the Jack Shore fight. I'm a busy guy. I get tired, guys. I lay down and I was watching fights in the bed. But these were the first fights where we got to see the rule change. There was somebody got cut with a 12 to 6 elbow. And we also got to see one sequence where the hands on the ground is not down opponent, and you can knee him in the head. So I'm gonna get dinged for this, but whatever, because I think it should be seen. All right, here's the sequence, the Shore and Zalal fight. Where we get to see the sequence of him throwing a knee to a not downed opponent who has his hands on the mat. All right, let's watch this real quick. There's the trip. He goes down. The guy's on his hands. Bink, knee to the head. He has to take a knee. Now, this is how you make the fights more exciting, because you force the guy on bottom to actually fight rather than stalling and he gets stood up. He can't stall in that position anymore. He has to fight. He has to get up. He has to move. I say they need to take it a step further. If the guy's on his knees, hands his knees in that position on the fence, allow the knees to the head. Because now the guy has to fight. He can't just hang out there and let time tick off the clock and hope that the ref steps in and stands him up and gives him an advantageous position because he stopped the fight. He stopped the flow of the fight. I don't like that. And then the fact that people blame the guy on top, it's his fault. Oh, he's in the down position. He's the fault. I disagree. The guy who stopped fighting, and is looking to get saved by the referee is at fault. That guy's at fault. Oh, he put his hands, these guys used to put their hands on the mat and stay there in a tripod position because they knew if they stayed there long enough, the ref would intervene and stand them up. Well, okay. Well, now you can't do that. Now you're getting kneed in the head. Okay. Well, now he drops to a knee. He's still doing the same stalling tactic. Now, instead of being posted on his hands, he's posted on a knee. He's still waiting for the ref to save him. He's not fighting away. He's He is no longer fighting. He is stalling. Okay? He is making the choice to stall the position in hopes that the ref will stand him up. He wants to gain a favorable position for doing nothing. You guys following this? You guys understand that? You understand what I'm saying? But the guy on top, but the guy on top, but the guy on top. No, the guy who's stopping the fight. The guy on top could finish if he's allowed to use the tools available. That's the knee to the head. He could knee him in the head. If you let him knee the head on the ground when he's kneed on the ground like that, it changes things. It forces the guy on bottom to fight. It forces him. You can't just hang out. You get to that position, now you got more finishes, you got more people forced to fight, you get more things going on. That's the way to deal with things. That's the way to deal with slow action, guys. Not bitching and moaning and, oh, we should cut the guy and not give him opportunities and call him names. No, change the rules. Change the rules to open things up so the guy can do more to finish the fight. That's the way. That's how you fix it. No, no one in the UFC ever said anything about my fights being boring until after I stood up to them about contracts. After the GSP fight, I was loved by many. And then I said no to the video game rights agreement. And I said no to the merchandising agreement. And then they used me as an example. And me fighting them on contracts, me speaking back and talking back to them, me refusing to fight Josh Koscheck for no increase in pay, no real money, non-title. I said no to them. I was not a company man. That is why they called me boring. That is why they were responsible for matchups. They were the ones who made me fight the guys I fought. They made me fight guys who were very tough, who had never been finished, who no one ever heard of before. Instead of giving me premier matchups against marquee named guys, they did everything they could to put me on undercard against tough guys that nobody had ever heard of before, and fight guys who had not been finished. They messed with me at UFC 100 and put me at the end of the night. They kept moving me, kept bumping me. I had to get warmed up like 4 different times. And it was all them manipulating and pulling strings and leveraging to get me to lose and to mess with my connection to the fan base, right? It was all strategic. And then we get to the BJ Penn fight. The fight should have been called. There's no reason for them to allow him to take the beating he took for as long as he took. He was done. The fight was over. They should have called the fight. I won that fight. He should have been finished. The ref should have stopped it. And I think now from that fight on, BJ was never the same. I think he got the most of his CTE and the most of his brain damage in those last 2 minutes. The fight should have been called. His life quality has decreased exponentially because they wouldn't allow that fight to be stopped. The Eric Silva fight should have been stopped also. His career took a dive after that fight. He took way too much damage. There was no reason for him to continue taking the damage that he did in that fight. The fix was in. They didn't want me to be popular. They didn't want me to win. They didn't want me to get finishes. You stand up to people like that, and they will do everything they can to destroy you. I'm not the only guy they've done that to. But that's cool that from the very first nights of fights in the UFC, we see the rule change be implemented. I'm going to do a little shout out to these guys too here. I did a little podcast interview before the show went live, before this show went live. Right. And here you can see, guys. So you guys can try to give this a peek when you get a chance, right? At Danny MMA Fangirl. They put this up on YouTube already. So you guys can check this out at some point. Right. So you'll have to, that's a teaser. You guys will have to go and check it out. Right. Oh, is that it changed? It changed to a different thing. Where is that? Is that the one? Oh, okay. I gotta put it on a different thing. Here it is. Here it is. So there we go. So you can see here, right? This is.
We have Danny MMA Fangirl and Aussie Fight Fan here, shortly to be joined by Colin Crandall. We're here with the absolutely legendary John Fitch with us today. John, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. All right, guys. So I'm going to put that link. I'll put the link there. So you guys can watch that sometimes at your leisure. All right. Yeah, guys. I'm glad I got to share those fights with you. That was fun. Maybe we could share other fights. I don't know how many fights I can share because I don't want to get, what do you call it? I don't want to get the copyrighted, because you guys haven't been able to tell. Everything I have is throttled, like unbelievably. Like, it's nuts how certain topics and certain things, when you talk about them, will get buried, absolutely buried, and zero views at all. Like, it's hard enough to get anything going. And if I put up a little reel the other day where I was saying, gambling's bad, don't do gambling. And like a tenth of the normal views that I would for even like a boring nothing post. It's wild. It's wild. The algorithms are in full force and they want to push degeneracy and just hopelessness, despair. And if you're not peddling that stuff, like you're not getting pushed by the algorithms. If you're actually pushing out positive things, helpful things, you're not going to get any push. And it's partly because people are awful and really only want the degenerate stuff. But there is a larger hand at play that makes sure that only certain storylines are told. And if you're not fitting into the narrative, left-right narrative, the porn, gambling, degeneracy narrative, then they don't want you talking. They don't want you heard. But whatever. I'm gonna keep talking. I still keep talking. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope the time change doesn't mess you up too much. Oh yeah, one last thing. Okay, one last thing. And Peter, my video guy, if you're watching this, I want you to make a special clip of this if you can. It'll help a lot. All right. So this is going out to all the fighters out there. Okay. So guys, last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever, Judge Bulwer granted a preliminary approval of the $375 million Lee class action settlement. Right. Notices are going out in the next few weeks. If you have not done so already, please go to UFCclassaction.com and insert all of the following. Okay. The name you fought under, your email address, your mailing address, your phone number, your SureDog fighter ID number. Don't just say hello, provide all of the requested contact information. This information will go to our third-party claims administrator to make sure you get all notices going forward. Also, please do not pay anyone. Do not pay anyone, guys. There's a lot of grifters out there who are trying to scam you. Do not pay anyone to assist you in getting your settlement funds. They will not speed up the process, and the forms will be very simple. Our attorneys will assist you to make sure you submit your claim if you need help. All right. So the attorneys that we already have will help you as much as you need to submit that claim. All right. Do not seek third-party help. They're just going to steal money from you. You have everything you need already. If you have any questions, contact Rob Macy, MMA at MMAFA, or submit a question at the UFCclassaction.com website. The lawyers will reach out and respond to you. All right. If you guys need to reach out to me too, John Fitch, at any of my social media accounts, message me. I'll help point you in the direction you need, get you the help you need. No charge, right? There's no need to go through anybody else who's going to take money from you. Everything's already set up. Just got to reach out to the lawyers, get a hold of the lawyers to claim your monies. Okay. There's a lot of dirtbag grifters out there who will try to get you to pay them to help you get what's already yours and you don't need them for. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. Reach out if you need any seminars. All right, guys. I'll check you later, guys. All right. James White, yeah, you're right. At the time I was going through that stuff. I should have fought guys like Martin Kampman, Condit, Jake Shields, even when he got to the UFC. Like, there's tons of big fights that I could have been fighting, but instead they gave me really tough guys who hadn't been finished or hardly ever been finished, and no one knew of them. They were doing their best to get rid of me. And I've been a thorn in their side for a long time.